Okay, this is for you, Jeff. We had a hell of a windstorm, what they called a downburst. They defined it on the weather station as a downburst, which is a giant microburst. It's no longer micro, but it's giant. Anyway, yesterday morning when it was all done, and it started out with a flash of light. It was like watching a nuclear bomb go off. At 10 o'clock at night, 2 nights ago, just one big flash of light and then a huge pressure movement. The windows, I thought it broke the windows of the house. The windows were, I couldn't open the patio door. There was so much pressure on the house from the outside from this downburst. Well, anyway, yesterday morning, I'll zoom in. This corner tile was on the ground, and up there where it came from was all neat, you know. But yesterday afternoon, and I'll send you the video, or I've sent you the already preceded or prefaced this video of the sandstorm. Well, we had a sandstorm yesterday, and we had a hell of a wind again. And where it was all neat yesterday, it grew, it migrated. The second windstorm yesterday afternoon caused that end tile to start migrating. If you don't get somebody out here today, or somebody to address this, if we have another windstorm, they're saying we're having 3 or 4 days of monsoon, possible monsoon weather ahead of us. That was the first storm. That was our first monsoon storm, and it was like Hiroshima. Like I said, a flash of light, and then the whole world rocked for about the first 5 minutes. My patio, it was lifting chairs, and that's another thing. But I lost a bunch of, well, I'll stop here, I'll pause it, and then I'm going to go out front and I'm going to give you another spiel as a warning or a caveat, okay? I'll pause it here. Okay. There's my stoop of my house. See that corner right there where the tile is? Well, before I put the gutters up, which I did a couple years ago, and I suggest you do it, I could do a whole 15-minute video on why you should have gutters, but so take a good look at that corner. Here's where we are, my stoop. The tree, when the landscapers planted the tree 14 years ago, they put it right here. About 10 feet, 15 feet from that corner, the tile. Well, one thing young people do when they buy a house, and I've seen it in other cities, other places, when they build a new neighborhood, it's a brand new neighborhood like this was 15 years ago. So they build it and they all plant trees. Well, are they good stewards of the tree, or do they let them go wild? Well, I didn't know what I was dealing with monsoon winds. Anyway, they planted a tree here. I used to trim it every year. I wanted it to be tall. I kept making it, trying to be as tall as I could make it. Well, as it got taller and taller, I didn't realize the radius of the tree from the ground to that roof, I kept getting closer and closer. Well, we had a storm like we had the other night about 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, it came through in 15 minutes, tons of rain, a downburst, okay? Well, this tree, during the 5 or 10 minutes that it was, it's being inside of a tornado. It started hitting the tile on that corner and lifted them. Anyway, when the storm was all over, this field right here was about 15 tiles laying on that field. 3 or 4 were broken. I was able to salvage everything. And now I'm going to zoom in. See that over my stoop? That was naked. Everything gone. Bare wood. I called the insurance company. They said, you got $1,000 deductible. Well, I said, I'm not going to put a claim in. I spent 3 days bulletproofing that, making it last 1,000 years, or I hope it does. And that summer, the first thing I did is get rid of this tree. We had drainage and grading problems. The first thing I had to do before starting to regrade was to get rid of the tree. Now I don't worry about trees busting up my house and my tiles, and because when that tree started hitting that corner, the tiles started lifting, and that was all was needed was just one tile to lift, like your tile I just showed you over there. That tile on the roof yesterday morning didn't look like it does this morning. Why? Because we had that windstorm go through yesterday afternoon that caused more damage. If we have 2 or more days of wind, you might lose some of your roof. I'm trying to help you out here. Now, my big concern for you, and I want to show you, I don't know if anybody's taken a video or a picture of what happened out here, but I live next to you, and I want to let you know what happened here. That's how much wind came through here 2 nights ago. You got a narrow opening here. It's a venturi of a carburetor. If the wind's coming from the south at tremendous velocity, it funnels through here. That's what took that tree out. They didn't trim the tree. I'm trying to get across to the golf course and the management of the HOA here. You got to trim these trees before the monsoon season hits, because you've got full sails up. If you know anything about sailing, you don't go into heavy wind and heavy weather with full sails and a spinnaker. Well, that's what they had here for a tree, and it's gone now. It's busted. It'll be interesting to see how long it lasts like that before they clean it up. There was a lot of damage in the neighborhood. Now, my big concern for you and my advice to you is, you see this tree right here? All those limbs, you see those 2 limbs? Alright, if this gets snapped off in a violent downburst, and this tree starts making love to those tiles up there in an extreme low, we're talking, we're pegging the barometer. We're so low. It was so low I couldn't open the patio door. I was watching my patio furniture flying around, and I was trying to get out of the door, out of the house, and I had to overcome about 30-40 pounds of pressure to open the door. That's the pressure differential. Okay, we had. And I'm trying to let you, I'm going to back off and let you know, if you leave this tree, if you don't get somebody out here to trim that tree back and make it a skeleton, we've got 2 or 3 months now. And that was the first storm. The first monsoon storm we had took out that tree. And now you've got this tree overhanging your garage roof. I don't want you to get a phone call with pictures where somebody says, your garage roof is gone. Once the tile got going, then the wind got under the wood, and the whole thing is gone. Okay? If you're ready for that, I know you just bought this house. But I'm going to end my spiel. I hope, God bless you, everything's going well back in Minnesota. Look forward to talking to you. But to let you know, a warning. You're setting up for disaster. This is an accident waiting to happen, Jeff. You can play the long odds and say it's not going to happen, but that was our first monsoon storm. Okay? I believe in global warming. Okay? Every storm we see on TV, it seems like the announcer says a historical, unprecedented storm. Okay? If we get a monsoon season here where we're getting tons of rain and tons of wind, you're flipping a coin every time you have a windstorm here. You could lose that roof. You should get a few of those arms trimmed back. You could cut that tree down to nothing. As long as you leave the roots there, everything will come back next year. All right, to have it up there like that, if that tree snaps at the base, or one of those arms snaps at the base, the way that tree in the easement did, you're going to be buying a new roof, or somebody is. But anyway, thank you for listening. Maybe if I zoom in. I'm going to try to get the light out of it for the contrast, but Jeff, you see that line of tiles right there? Yesterday morning they were all tight little group of soldiers all lined up with just one missing. And there it is on the ground. When I came out yesterday morning, they were all neat and just one missing. Yesterday afternoon storm, get the contrast out of it, loosened that whole row of tile. Now if that row goes and the wind stays from the south long enough and hard enough, you got an accident waiting to happen. You got to get somebody out here, Jeff, and address this. Either get some cement, some of them that $8 a tube roof tile cement, and cement everything down, line them all up and cement them down before the next windstorm comes. I've done similar stuff on my roof. A lot of my tiles are glued down, especially the ones on the edge of the roof.